trade deadline was insane. I'm looking at you, AJ Preller. We'll break down all the trades and preview Week 20 up next on a Kokomo Friday.
Alcantara, Soroka, you look so good in Boca. Peralta, Manoa, bounce back for Aaron Giolito, Castillo, Yoshida, Mosu, Carlo, and Fado. Value so high, but ADP so low. Frank Love's hit some kind of Joe. Now let's get on with the show.
Happy Kokomo Friday and welcome into Fantasy Baseball today and welcome to August. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White and Chris Towers. Today on the show, we will recap all the trades, ranking relievers, deadline winners and losers, and we'll preview Week 20 later on in the show. So I woke up around noon. We work very late, so I sleep pretty late into the day. I got a text from Scott. He says, you called it on the price tag for relievers. Mercy.
Mercy.
Yeah. And that is when I saw the Mason Miller trade. So we will start with today's blockbuster or yesterday's blockbuster. At this point, the Padres acquired Mason Miller and JP Sears from the Athletics for a top 5 prospect in all of baseball. Shortstop prospect Leo DeVries, along with pitching prospects Braden Nett, Henry Baez, Eduardo Nunez. Just what is going on? Miller is awesome. I totally get that. He's under team control through 2030. But Leo DeVries, I mean, look, he could be anything. Mystery box, I get that. Not every prospect works out. This is a top 5 prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it's the caliber of prospect that you expect to work out, even though he's only, I think he's still just 18. He's 18 at high A. So at an advanced level for somebody that young. And he's part of a trio of shortstop prospects that it might be more of a quartet of shortstop prospects now. They're all teenagers. They're all vying for the number 1 overall prospect spot. Jesus Made of the Brewers is one. Sebastian Walcott of the Rangers is another. And the Pirates guy, I'm blanking on his name.
Connor Griffin.
Yeah, Connor Griffin is the other. So Leo DeVries is right there. He's projected to be a franchise shortstop. And, we don't normally see prospects of that caliber traded ever.
Especially at the deadline.
And to do it for a reliever, just it's strange. Now, I mean, yes, Mason Miller is a great reliever. In theory, the ERA has been kind of high this year if you want to nitpick. But, I haven't seen a baseball person ever talk about Mason Miller without drooling. Like they think he's just absurdly talented and he should be one of the league's most dominant closers, or maybe down the line. And AJ Preller mentioned this when talking to the media afterward. Maybe down the line they consider transitioning him back to a starting role. We'll see. I think it kind of depends how they make out the roster between then and now. But right now, he's a reliever. He's a dominant reliever. I presume he's still a closer on an even better team now. And it's there are so many bullpen questions coming up. Like the trade deadline was closers.
Yeah,
it was closers. I'm not saying nothing but closers were moved, but it was mostly closers. Half the league, literally half the league, or maybe like 14 of the 30 teams, comes out of the trade deadline with either a new closer or a new candidate, a new
or just significant questions about their closer.
And so I am counting San Diego among those 14 teams, but it would be, in my mind, a major disappointment to give up that kind of prospect capital for a non-closer. And I think what I saw from Preller is, they're going to have a conversation. He's going to have a conversation with the managerial staff about what to do, which might kind of like reading. I don't know if I'd even say reading between the lines, but just kind of the way I interpreted that is Mike Schilt might be a little hesitant to remove the major league leader in saves from the closer role, but AJ Preller is going to be like, come on. That's kind of how I read that.
Like Robert Suarez is very good. Mason Miller is much better.
And I agree with you guys on that. Like from a skills perspective, I think it probably should be Mason Miller. I saw a clip. I was trying to dig and find anything about this, like who's going to be the closer for the Padres. And there was a clip of Tony Gwynn Jr. They were talking at some kind of panel, I guess, breaking down the trade deadline. And he covers the Padres. He does their radio broadcast. And he said, I would be shocked if Mike Shildt removed Robert Suarez from the closer role. But
I just don't know if that's Mike Shildt.
It won't be his decision. I don't know. So
yeah, I would think in the long run they're going to try Mason Miller out as a reliever or as a starter, especially with the success they've had with Mike King making that move. But it's not going to happen this season. And I don't know, maybe they're comfortable with Mason Miller as a setup man and Robert Suarez as the closer, but I think there were only 2 situations where a team acquired their new closer today, which is kind of funny given how many closers were moved, but I think most of them were moved into setup roles. But
it's questionable that it's only 2, and I'm sure we'll get into
right. There's only one for sure. I think the Phillies definitely acquired their new closer. I think it's more likely than not that the Padres did, and then there are 4 or 5 other situations where there could be a new closer based on who was brought in, but it's not certain. And I think that's fascinating. It was a really interesting trade deadline, and given the prices for closers or for relievers and the fact that no starting pitchers really, or at least no impact starting pitchers were moved, one tough look for the Cubs, I think, especially coming out of the deadline, not getting a real significant upgrade out of their rotation. And then,
come on, you love Mike Soroka.
I love Mike Soroka, but Mike Soroka's not like you're hoping that it goes the way it's gone with Matthew Boyd, but there's no guarantee.
Glad to hear you say that.
And the Marlins must have been asking for a lot. The Padres must have been asking for a lot. And who was the other big starting pitcher we expected to get moved?
Gallen, Mitch Keller.
Gallen and Keller.
Joe Ryan. I know the Red
yeah.
Sox were making a push late because the Twins traded like their whole bullpen after
the Twins
Yohan
traded
Duran.
everyone. Yeah.
I didn't like it slipped by me because I wrote about we'll get into it, but I wrote about Griffin Jax being traded. And we expected him to step in for Yohan Duran. So who steps in now? And I was like, oh, maybe Luis Varland, maybe Daniel.
Nope, they're all Colombo. Yeah.
I always just think Column B, but I know that's not how you say his name. But yeah, they were both traded, and I just didn't even notice. So now it's full fans, I guess. I don't know.
Someone posted like the Twins like Instagram page, like the grid of all their most recent posts, and it looked like an in memoriam segment.
Oh my god!
At an award show, just with how many like thank you, goodbye, just everybody on the team was gone.
Yeah. So just to put a bow on this trade here, if you have either Mason Miller or Robert Suarez, you have to hold both for now. We just don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like both of you guys think it's going to be Mason Miller. I lean Robert Suarez, but based on how much they gave up, it probably should be Mason Miller. You got to hold both of these names for now until we see, the next at least 2 or 3 save opportunities from the Padres. Who is next up in line for saves on the Athletics? And doesn't matter.
So it'll only matter if it's Jack Perkins. And I saw a lot of enthusiasm from fantasy baseball types for Jack Perkins following this trade. What was interesting is the enthusiasm seemed to veer in 2 directions. Because, the other player the Padres got in this deal was JP Sears, who maybe we need to talk about him some. He's, fly ball pitcher going to a better park for fly ball pitchers, I would say. But I don't think he's going to be a big deal. But anyway, getting back to the point, for Jack Perkins, it was like, oh, now he can replace Mason Miller as closer. But other people were like, oh, now he can take JP Sears' spot in the rotation. And the Athletics haven't really revealed what they're planning to do with Jack Perkins. He does have, I believe, 3 saves on the season, but I think they were all of the 3-inning variety. All of his relief outings have been 2 to 3 innings. And they've talked about still viewing him as a starter long term. So he could be one of the biggest winners at the trade deadline, but it's unclear which role he's going to fill. I would guess starter, and he'd be worth a flyer. As he's got strikeout potential and all of that. And there's not a lot of interesting starting pitcher options on the waiver wire right now. So that's what I think's going to happen here with Jack Perkins in the short term. But if he's not the closer, I see nobody else to really.
Sean Newcomb has been good this year, but there's very little track record to go on there. So that's yeah.
Jack Perkins, by the way, 12% rostered. I think in 12-team roto leagues or deeper, I would like to just use a speculative ad on Jack Perkins here and see what comes of it. I mean, either way, if he's the closer or as a starter, he could have value. And 9 starts at AAA this season for Perkins, 2.86 ERA, 102 WHIP, 13.9 K per 9. So yeah, lots of strikeout upside there with Jack Perkins. You mentioned JP Sears there. It's a career 4.48 ERA, 125 WHIP over 534 innings. Yeah, I think we'll get some streaming scenarios out of him, again, pitching in San Diego. But I think we mostly know who JP Sears is. Maybe he'll be a little bit better in San Diego. We did have ourselves another reunion. Carlos Correa is headed back to the Astros for somebody named Matt Mikulski, a 26-year-old reliever at high A, a.k.a. this was a salary dump because Correa is still owed quite a bit of money, and he signed through 2028 with vesting options for 2029, 2030, 2031, and 2032. The Twins also sent $30 million in the deal to help pay off the rest of the contract here for Carlos Correa. I feel like this is just a better real-life story. Like, yes, cool. Correa's headed back to the Astros. I don't know how much he has left. He's looked pretty bad this year.
His underlying numbers are much better. It's a much better park. It's a much better lineup. I think there's a pretty good chance we get a bounce back from Carlos Correa in the second half. He's healthy. He was really good last year, remember? And I think he's going to play a really good third base. So I think it's a really good pickup for the Astros. It's just whether it ultimately matters that much for fantasy, I think that's a different question.
It brought a little tear to my eye on behalf of Astros fans. I was feeling emotional for them. This reunion, it felt like nature was healing. Carlos Correa unexpectedly brought back where he belongs, and that was my biggest reaction to it. Not so much how it changes things for fantasy, because I don't really think it changes things that much. It's not like, he had kind of already fallen out of star status during his time with the Astros, so I don't think it's a situation where the venue's going to revitalize him. But he's probably just underperformed this year to begin with, and so there's reason to think he'll be useful. Probably not Studley, but useful going forward.
Yeah, Carlos Correa, 65% rostered, shortstop eligible for now, will gain third base eligibility. And look, he actually has a career high 91.1 average exit velocity. He's hit more ground balls, which has hurt the power. Just last year, he had an OPS over 900. So yeah, maybe getting back in Houston, hanging out with the boys, getting the band back together. It's a good park to hit in as well. He's very familiar hitting there. I do think maybe Carlos Correa could have some fantasy relevance the rest of the way. Scott, you mentioned that it brought a tear to your eye seeing Correa headed back to Houston. All it did was bring back some rough memories for me, Scott. And for those watching on YouTube, if you're listening, I'm holding up a beer here called the Trash Can Bangers. Shout out to Departed Souls Brewery in Jersey City. This is phenomenal. I saw it while I was there last weekend. It's like, I got to buy it. I don't drink IPAs, so I let my wife try it, and she loved it. But the can is amazing, and of course, it's making fun of the Astros. So,
I just want two things, all right? Just two things before we move on. All right, one, like the Yankees scored like 1 run in Game 7. I'm pretty sure of that series. Like were they distracted by the trash cans being banged and their hitters couldn't hit? Is that what happened?
Yes, I think that's fair.
And two, isn't the story that Carlos Beltran got traded from the Yankees to the Astros, showed up and was like, hey, you guys aren't stealing signs? What's up with that?
We'll never know what was in that letter, Chris.
There's no way of knowing. Yeah, it's weird.
But what we do know is that there were trash cans being banged. So shout out to the Departed Souls Brewery. Love that. The Yankees, let's just, seamless transition here. The Yankees added some bullpen pieces here. First, they acquired David Bednar from the Pirates for quite a few prospects here. Catcher/first base prospect Rafael Flores, catcher prospect Edglin Perez, outfield prospect Brian Sanchez, and pitching prospect Carlos De La Rosa. Later in the day, the Yankees also acquired Camilo Doval from the Giants for Jesus Rodriguez, Parks Harbor, and Tristan Vreeling. So, as the Yankees fan, I will ask you guys, who is going to get the next save opportunity for the Yankees? Because not even I know the answer.
Well, nobody knows the answer.
Well,
I mean, maybe somebody in the Yankees organization knows. Maybe.
Aaron Boone has already answered this question.
Has he?
Yeah, he said the plan is to keep Devin Williams in the role.
Oh, okay.
I think it makes the margin for error razor slim for a guy who's been pretty shaky. You know, he had figured it out in June. He had a really good June, but he's been shaky again lately. So it might be like Devin Williams gets one more save chance, given that he has now 2 All-Stars backing him up, plus the hero of last season's postseason run. But I would guess Devin Williams is going to get the first one. I just don't know if he'll keep the job.
Well, yeah, he's been pretty shaky, especially lately. I mean, all season he's been shaky, but it looked like he was turning things around. But now he's he's the most celebrated closer of the 3. He, I think, is the most talented still, because it's not like there's been clear. There's not like there's been a clear decline in skill here for Devin Williams, but. He's the one of the 3 who's not under contract for last year, which I think
next year.
Yeah, for next year, which I think makes it even more makes that leash even shorter. You know, like, okay, we're not committed to this guy beyond this year. We just have to get our wins while we can. If we don't trust him to close out games, I presume Bednar would be the next up, because Bednar has legitimately been.
It's been incredible. A
bullpen ace since that stint in the minors in April. Let me pull up the numbers real quick, because they will shock you. Bednar, since his trip to the minors, why is it not?
I mean, you don't even have to do that. He's got a 2.37 ERA for the season now.
He has the 3rd best FIP among all qualified relievers.
Yeah,
but it looks
just
better.
Awesome.
Why is Control F not working? Okay, here it is. Bednar. Oh, never mind. He's been really good.
Bednar has been really good. And yes, there were quotes from Aaron Boone that he's going to stick with Devin Williams for now. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. I got it. Since returning from the minors, he has a 1.70 ERA. He has 50 strikeouts in 37 innings. His whip is below. He's been great. He's been great. And he's probably the Yankees closer next year either way, unless he just bombs down the stretch. I would say I would give him the edge over Doval, because Doval wasn't.
Doval's lost it a little bit. Yeah.
He wasn't who the Giants wanted closing in the first place, and it's after inheriting the role, he had like an ERA near 5. He wasn't necessarily doing a good job with it either.
Do you guys want to help settle an argument amongst Yankee and Met fan friends group chat today that we had?
Sure.
Okay. Who is the best reliever of David Bednar, Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Helsley?
David Bednar, Tyler Rogers, and Ryan Helsley.
My first thought is it might be Tyler Rogers, even though he's like never been a closer.
Based on like the StatCast stuff, it probably is Tyler Rogers.
Yeah, he's just rock solid every year.
He has a like under 7K per 9, but he's just ridiculous.
He doesn't get strikeouts, but you don't need to get strikeouts if nobody can hit you.
Right.
He's like the new Chad Bradford, right?
Yeah.
Where he's just his delivery is so funky that nobody can square him up, but he doesn't actually have good stuff, which is normally what you want from a late inning reliever.
All right. So is that your answer, Chris? Tyler Rogers?
It's probably Bednar, just on the stuff side of things, but yeah.
Scott, what are we going with here? Best of the 3?
In real life, In real life, I might say Tyler Rogers in real life.
All right.
For fantasy, obviously, you missed the strikeouts.
I'll just I'll send Chris's answer to them and
Because that's what you're.
The biggest takeaway and maybe the biggest two winners of the trade deadline is what happens with the Pirates and the Giants with Bednar and Camilo Doval being traded. So it looks like we have pretty clear closers in both of those situations. Dennis Santana has had an awesome season, filled in as the closer earlier this year. He's only 24% rostered. And Randy Rodriguez, I haven't seen confirmation. Maybe you guys have that he definitely is the closer, but
I haven't seen
it. Feels like he should be just because he's been amazing.
Yep.
And he's 34% rostered. Who would you guys rather have between the two?
Oh, Randy Rodriguez is the biggest winner of the trade deadline. And I've got the numbers ready to go here for Randy Rodriguez.
All right, wait, just one. Hold on 1 second.
Wait, Command F, Command Z, Shift. All right, go.
Okay. These are full season numbers. 1.20 ERA, 0.84 whip, 12.4 K per nine. If that is not a closer caliber reliever, I don't know what is. Yeah. The only hesitation is they still have Ryan Walker. So,
who's been fine for the last 2.5 months, basically.
He hasn't been nearly this good.
No.
And so it's the sort of thing where, in the year 2025, I mean, thank you, Aaron Boone, I guess, but it's pretty rare that managers actually say this guy is the closer. We just kind of have to observe their habits and, okay, I guess he's the closer. So this uncertainty we have with so many bullpens is just kind of to be expected.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty strongly about Randy Rodriguez. I would be in leagues where fab is a thing and it's very competitive. I would be dumping truckloads on this guy because I think he's just going to be a stud closer to close out the season. Randy
top
Rodriguez.
5 potential.
Yeah.
How would you take Randy Rodriguez over Cade Smith?
No. I as good as Randy Rodriguez has been this season, Cade Smith's done that for 2 years in a row. I think they're just as there's a chance Cade Smith isn't the closer in September if Emmanuel Clase is cleared to play, but there's also a chance Randy Rodriguez isn't the closer. Cade Smith definitely is.
Yeah, and to be clear, when we're saying biggest winner of the trade deadline, Cade Smith didn't step into that role because of any trade deadline events, so he doesn't count. I think I'd take Randy Rodriguez regardless because you don't have to worry about what's coming up in September because I don't think Cade Smith is 100% locked into the role. He's been pretty shaky lately. And Hunter Gaddis is a pretty good reliever himself. Actually was more the eighth inning guy than Smith. I am not saying I think Cade Smith is that vulnerable. I'm just saying I don't think he's any less vulnerable than Randy Rodriguez.
All right. Big thanks to those watching live. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. We'll take a quick break. When we return, a bunch more trades we'll talk about right after this.
Critics are buzzing about the new season of Yellow Jackets.
This is not healthy.
Yellow Jackets' new season now streaming on the Paramount Plus with Showtime plan.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today, recapping the trade deadline. Let's move a little bit quicker through some of these other trades. The Blue Jays acquired Shane Bieber from the Guardians for pitching prospect Kyle Steven. And Bieber in 3 rehab starts, 9 innings, 2 runs allowed, 16 strikeouts to 1 walk, 73% rostered. We've been telling people to stash him. That number probably should be higher, at least based on how the rehab has gone. Bieber could be a real difference maker down the stretch.
And Carl Stevens has been a prospect who's been trending up. He was their 2nd-round pick this past year. He's jumped 2 levels already to Double-A. So they gave up a pretty good asset, the Blue Jays, to get Bieber while he's rehabbing from Tommy John surgery. And I think there's a player option for next year. I don't know what it is, how likely he is to
I think it's a
accept
player option for $16 million or something.
Okay. Yeah,
if he's good, he's almost certainly turning it down.
Yeah. So it's probably
Matthew Boyd made 8 starts last year and got $29 million as a free agent. Shane Bieber, if he's healthy at the end of the season, I think he easily turns that down.
So it's probably just a rental for a guy who's not even ready to go yet, and they gave up that good of a prospect asset. So they have confidence. His last rehab start was great. He peaked at 94 miles per hour in it, which doesn't sound that amazing in a vacuum, but that's what he was peaking at those 2 dominant starts he had early last year. And that was an improvement over the previous year. So he seems to still have that velocity that he gained with driveline baseball heading into last year that raised so much enthusiasm for Bieber. So yeah, I think he's a high priority stash right now. And I think we'll see him for the Blue Jays before the August midpoint, maybe right around there.
I would guess one more start. I think he got up to what, 70 pitches in his last one?
Yeah, I think it was 4 innings. So it was actually, I think it might have been around 60 or something like that. But yeah, 4 innings in his last one and obviously looked really good. The Blue Jays updated rotation, by the way, Jose Barrios, Kevin Gausman, Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, Shane Bieber. Looks like maybe Eric Lauer could be out of a job when Bieber's ready to go, unless they go 6-man or Scherzer gets hurt by then, either or.
Yeah, that's something could go wrong by then. But yeah, it would seem likeliest that Lauer's out of the rotation when that happens.
All right. Next up, the Rangers acquired Merrill Kelly from the D-backs for 3 pitching prospects, Cole Drake, David Hageman, and Mitch Bratt. Or Bratt? Probably Bratt. Kelly, just a rock-solid starting pitcher, performing very well once again this year. 3.22 ERA, 106 whip, 8.5 K per 9. Does this really change anything for Merrill Kelly's value?
I don't think so. I mean, the Diamondbacks don't look very good now, but they before trading off a bunch of pieces, they had a great offense, and I don't think the environment's different enough to really care. I think Merrill Kelly's just going to keep doing what he's been doing, and that's being close to must start in fantasy. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good prospect package the Diamondbacks got for him, I have to say.
And it's Bratt Summer in Arizona, baby. You guys have no idea what that is, but ask your wives; they might.
All right, no, I'm going to write that down. We'll find out about that on Friday. The biggest thing is that Merrill Kelly becomes available in AL-only leagues, so someone that you could spend up quite a bit there. Who gets the boot from the Rangers rotation? My guess is Kumar Rocker, probably. Yeah.
I think for sure.
Didn't pitch well on Thursday either, so yeah.
The Rays acquired Griffin Jax from the Twins for Taj Bradley. So interesting trade here. Jax, we know, a very talented reliever, looked like he was going to be one of the biggest winners from the trade deadline. And now I assume just kind of status quo. I expect Pete Fairbanks to remain the closer. Do you guys feel differently?
I mean, I think Jax is better than Fairbanks, who's gotten by with a really low strikeout rate this year.
Griffin Jax almost has double the K per 9 that Pete Fairbanks does.
Right. But, Griffin Jax, particularly after that bad outing Wednesday, his ERA and his whip are pretty high. And I don't know that the Rays necessarily care about that, but it's more just he doesn't have – it's not like a Mason Miller situation where he has plenty of closing experience himself. He has very little closing experience. Fairbanks hasn't really done anything to lose the job. Mm-hmm. So they probably just stick with Fairbanks until he does something to lose the job, which may or may not happen.
Mm-hmm. The other side of this trade is Taj Bradley, change of scenery, who likely goes right into the Twins rotation. Once upon a time, the Twins did get Joe Ryan from the Rays, and obviously look at how that worked out for them. Some home road splits this year for Taj, pitching in George Steinbrenner Field, which is a very hitter-friendly environment. 5.43 ERA at home, 3.76 on the road. So I'm not saying, go out, must add Taj Bradley. I think he's a name to watch. Let's see how these first couple starts go in Minnesota.
I kind of love the guys that the Twins added. It was Taj Bradley and who was
Mick
the other?
Abel? They got
Alan Roden.
Just because I'm talking about the pitchers.
Okay.
I don't actually like Mick Abel or Taj Bradley individually all that much. Like I think they've got pretty huge flaws, but like between them, David Festa, Zebby Matthews, you could throw Simeon Woods Richardson in here. They've got a lot of guys with very obvious talents who just like Mick Abel, better command, probably needs a change up. Taj Bradley, it's all command. His command's just awful. Matthews and Festa, it's bad fastballs. They've got to find the right mix. but all four of those guys have really live arms and they're super talented. And I love just like, let's spend the next 2 months giving those guys chances. I know Fest is on the IL, but hopefully he'll be back, and just see if any of them can find something that works down the stretch. And, if two of them click, this rebuild could go a lot quicker than you might think. And yeah, the Allen Roden, I think that was a sneaky, really nice, a really nice pickup. So yeah, I think the Twins did okay here.
Yeah, they picked up James Outman too. We'll talk about some of those outfielders a little bit later on. Sticking with the Rays, they also acquired Adrian Houser from the White Sox for Curtis Mead and 2 pitchers, Ben Peoples and Duncan Davitt. Houser on an expiring deal. Velocity is up this season. He has performed well. 2.10 ERA, 1.22 WHIP, and my assumption is he goes right into the Rays rotation. Are we more interested in Adrian Houser on Tampa Bay? 53% rostered.
I think he's just a streamer still.
Yeah, I mean, he's not as good as his ERA. And so
he is a sparp too for those in points leagues. So
right. I'm not saying we'll never have use for him, but he's going to be worse than he's been so far, no matter where he went.
The other side of this trade is kind of interesting, I guess, from a deep league perspective. Curtis Mead looks like he should finally get a chance to play every day here with the White Sox. He's 24 years old, has routinely hit very well in the minors. His career down there, 297 batting average, 875 OPS, only 4% rostered, has first, second, and third base eligibility. The White Sox took a chance on Miguel Vargas, and he's had a little bit of a resurgence season here. So I think in the deepest of leagues, yeah, Curtis Mead is a name to know.
It reminds me of the Michael Busch trade for the Cubs.
Yeah. So we'll see. The Mets acquired Cedric Mullins from the Orioles for pitching prospects Anthony Nunez, Ramon Gomez, and Chandler Marsh. Mullins, very up and down season, 229 batting average, 15 homers, 14 steals, 738 OPS, and he has drastic home road splits. Those are even more exacerbated the past 2 years. This season in 2024, much better in Camden Yards than he has been on the road. And we know that Citi Field is a little bit more pitcher friendly here. I know he's extremely streaky already the way that he is, but I do wonder if maybe Mullins' value takes a little bit of a downtick here.
Maybe.
That surprises me that his splits are that extreme, to be honest. I didn't even think to look because I just didn't imagine that would be an issue. So I'll have to think about that. Because my initial thought was, maybe now that he's going to a better team, he's replacing a right-handed hitting center fielder in
Tyrone Taylor.
Tyrone Taylor. Gosh, I can't think of names tonight. The fact he's replacing a right-handed hitting center fielder in Tyrone Taylor, maybe he's going to platoon now, but he's been better against lefties than righties this year. And so I don't think that's going to happen. I think his stock pretty much remains the same. Maybe goes up a little is what I was thinking, just because of how deep the Mets lineup is shaping up to be.
Yeah, that point is definitely fair. It does seem like an upgraded, a lineup upgrade here for Cedric Mullins, but perhaps a bit of a ballpark downgrade there for him. And he's another one that does become available in NL-only leagues. Busy day for the Padres. They also acquired Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano from the Orioles for 6 names here: Boston Bateman, Cobb Hightower, Victor Figueroa, Tyson Neighbors, Brandon Butterworth, and Tanner Smith. I'm pretty sure at least 3 of those are made up. I can confirm that.
Unbelievable names. Incredible stuff.
And the Padres also acquired Freddie Fermin from the Royals for pitchers Ryan Burgett and Stephen Kolek. So their updated lineup, I mean, this is pretty good here. This is a pretty deep lineup for the Padres. Tatis, Arise, Machado, Merrill, Bogarts, Ryan O'Hearn, Laureano, Cronenworth, Freddie Fermin. Pretty good, pretty deep here. Any thoughts here on O'Hearn, Laureano, and Fermin? Maybe in
just a shout out to AJ Preller, because he's going for it, and he upgraded that team for looking at the 2025 roster. Like, we could argue whether giving up Leo DeVries was wise. I don't think it was, but it's totally on brand.
If they win the World Series, it won't matter.
Yeah,
flags fly forever.
But it's kind of my perspective that as a GM, you should never plan on winning the World Series, because it's just such a there's so much random chance that goes into that once you get to the end. But anyway, sure, if that happens, great. But you shouldn't expect it to happen. Anyway, yeah, like they filled a lot of holes all at once here. Freddie Fermin, I think, is going to be a fine starter. And in the year of the catcher that we're having right now, I don't think he'll matter for fantasy, but he was kind of blocked by Salvador Perez, and I think is a decent pickup here. Ramon Laureano, we've talked a lot about how his numbers look over the last calendar year and how he's an underrated fantasy asset. Ryan O'Hearn's had a great year, was technically an all-star. For fantasy, I think O'Hearn's one of the biggest losers because that is a pretty tough park for left-handed power. And so, you do the expected stats by ballpark thing. Not that he has a ton of home runs to begin with, but I believe he'd have 4 fewer playing every game in San Diego this year. Just going off memory there. Let me double check that. So 3 fewer apparently. But yeah, I mean, it's not a good park for him, and he already seemed to be trending down, losing steam in fantasy. There's always a chance they platoon him since he's a left-handed hitter in a way that wasn't being done in Baltimore. So I think he loses value with this deal, but I think Ramon Laureano will remain good.
This is also bad news for Gavin Sheets. That's mostly deep leaguers out there. If you had him in 5 outfielder leagues or as your corner infielder, kind of looks like he's on the outside looking in right now for Gavin Sheets. Back to the Orioles for a second. It feels like good news for guys like Kobe Mayo. I know Ryan Mountcastle is due back soon. Maybe we could get Heston Kjerstad, Dylan Beavers, Samuel Basayo. All seem like they could be potential winners here.
Yeah, Kobe Mayo's finally going to get a real chance.
We hope.
I mean, if he doesn't, then we just got to clear house in Baltimore and just get everybody out of there. We're gonna march on. What? It's not called Camden Yards anymore, right? It's like something at Camden Yards. We're gonna take the whole place down if they don't give Kobe Mayo a real chance. And Dylan Beavers, you mentioned, he's got excellent numbers at AAA this season, hitting .306 with phenomenal plate discipline. There's a little pop, a little speed. I hope he gets a chance. Down the stretch, because he's got some really interesting numbers too.
I just wrote about him in this week's prospects report, the way, like the kind of breakthrough he's had at AAA, most notably improving his contact rates, but power growth has come with that. And he's always been a good on-base guy. So I think Dylan Beavers is going to get a chance here at some point. Because 3 spots opened up in the Orioles lineup. We presume Mountcastle's taking one once he's ready to go, which will be very soon. We assume Kobe Mayo's taking another. And defensively, Beavers would be the best fit for the third. Now, I would like to see Samuel Basayo most of all. But I think with Mountcastle sticking around and Kobe Mayo really just being a first baseman himself, that's going to make it much harder to give Basayo that chance.
Yeah, they should just leave it to Beavers.
Oh gosh, you're on a roll the past couple of days, Chris. The Padres also picked up Nestor Cortez and a shortstop prospect, Jorge Quintana, for 28-year-old outfielder Brandon Lockridge. We learned also that Jackson Chourio is going on the IL, and Lockridge could potentially replace him on the Brewers roster. Cortez was closing in on a return, and it looks like the Padres rotation could wind up being Nick Pivetta, Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish, JP Sears, Nestor Cortez. And at some point, Michael King looks like he's going to be back in August. So I don't know. The Padres just have some depth here.
Man, AJ Preller kind of killed it at the deadline. Like,
it looks
maybe it looks bad if Leo DeVries is like a Ellie De La Cruz type player in 3 years, but like all of a sudden the rotation went from a huge weakness to kind of looking pretty deep now. They have no holes in the lineup. They got a huge defensive upgrade at catcher with a guy who can handle the bat a little bit. I think he did a really good job. I really love what the Padres did.
Based on his trades, it kind of feels like Preller thought he was going to move Robert Suarez and or Dylan Cease. and it just didn't come together, right?
Sure.
Like, why else bring in Mason Miller and JP Sears and Nestor Cortez? Look, having pitching depth is never a bad thing, but based on bringing those names in, it would have made more sense to maybe move a Robert Suarez for, you could have moved Suarez for outfielders before you got a Laureano or O'Hearn.
Well, after the Mason Miller trade happened, Buster Olney said his sources were telling him that there was a push to move Cease and Robert Suarez now. And then not long after that, Bob Nightingale tweeted that no, they're planning to hold on to those two and just have a good pitching staff. So who knows what happened in between or whose sources were less knowledgeable than the others, but ultimately they held on to Cease and Suarez, and so now they just have a good pitching staff.
Any interest in Nestor Cortez now in San Diego?
I think he could be fine. Yeah.
I like him more than JP Sears in theory if he's healthy.
Yeah, going to San Diego, so could work out nicely there for Nestor Cortez. The Red Sox acquired Dustin May from the Dodgers for James Tibbs and Zach Earhart, and I don't really get this trade, Chris. I know you don't get it either.
Man, I think Craig Breslow is like so far in over his head as the president of baseball operations in Baltimore. Like, I think the Devers trade was a disaster, and this somehow makes it worse. Like, the handling of the Devers trade is what made it a disaster. They get James Tibb, last year's first-round pick, in the Devers trade, and then they trade him for 2 months of Dustin May, who, like, isn't actually good and has also thrown more innings this season than he had in the prior 3 seasons combined. I don't understand. Like, he was just moved out of the rotation for the Dodgers. The Dodgers would have taken, like, some 19-year-old in high A for him, and instead they got a recent first round. James Tibbs has been awful since the trade. He has like a 500 OPS since getting to Boston. So, like, maybe they just got to look at him up close and they just really soured on him and they wanted to get something for him. But, like, I don't understand this at all. And then Craig Breslow comes out and makes a statement where he's like, we go as our rotation has gone this season, and he fits right in. I think he used the words tried and true to define Dustin May, which
seems like the worst possible description for him.
Not like the only thing that I think can make this trade make sense is that, like everyone else, the Red Sox just assumed that Dustin May must have like another year of club control left after this one. And they just didn't realize that he's been on the IL the whole time, and that's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a free agent at the end of this season. This is like, I can't remember a trade that immediately makes less sense than this trade. It is bonkers that the Red Sox did this. I don't understand at all what they were thinking here.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Dustin May, 4.85 ERA, 135 WHIP on the season, 57% rostered. They've got their pitching lab there, and they've done some interesting things. Like Giolito's turned it around. Walker Buehler has not. So, pick and choose some pitchers that have worked out for the Red Sox. But, yeah, I mean,
they don't have enough time to put him through the lab.
Also, like,
fair.
this idea that the Red Sox are, like, great at developing pitchers, they worked for, like, 2 months at the beginning of last season, but there's no evidence for it otherwise. Like, Tanner Houck completely fell apart. Who are the, like, big successes? Nick Pivetta is having a career year after leaving Boston. Like, I don't understand. I think Boston's a mess right now. I don't like anything that they've got going on, except for the, huge collection of young, promising talent that they have.
I guess to give them a little bit of credit, like Brian Bayo's pitched very well for them. Giolito's mostly pitched well. So, just to give them some credit there. Let's take our final break. If you haven't realized, we're going to go long here. There's still a lot to talk about, and we're going to preview Week 20. So let's take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today, recapping a wild trade deadline. The Astros acquired Jesus Sanchez from the Marlins for Ryan Gusto, Chase Jaworski, and Esmil Valencia. Sanchez, 27 years old, under team control through 2028. He's got 10 homers, 9 steals this year, hits the ball very hard. Feels like a decent winner, just, joining a much better lineup now. I saw Roster Resource that thinks he could hit second in that lineup. So that would be a pretty big win for Jesus Sanchez. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm torn between calling him a winner and a loser because there is a lot of talent here. And I feel like, at least historically, and the Marlins organization might be getting better at this, but at least historically, the Astros have been a much better organization about maximizing player outputs than the Marlins. And so part of me wonders, his whole major league career has been in Miami. If the Astros can do something to tap into that raw ability more, get him lifting the ball more, and maybe Jesus Sanchez turns into a pretty good player. The reason I'm not sure whether he's actually a winner, though, is...
Uh-oh. Are you with us, Scott?
I don't know. You tell me.
All right. There was a little blip, nearly a visit, but I think you're okay.
The Astros might be more likely to sit him as left-hander, so he might play less. And, he was sitting some against lefties in Miami, but it might be more consistently so now.
I'll just say I think the idea of Jesus Sanchez is a lot more palatable than the actual player, having had him be on my favorite team for the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Look, he hits the ball really hard.
Occasionally he does, yes.
If there's a team that can
he does.
maximize his launch angle, then maybe there is some untapped potential there. Jesus Sanchez, 22% rostered, I think is a name that you should look at in 5 outfielder leagues. Ryan Gusto on the other side has flashed a little bit with the Astros this season. I'm not sure if he goes right into the Marlins rotation. I know that they already have 5 healthy arms there, but perhaps we do see Gusto make some starts at some point this season. The Tigers acquired Charlie Morton from the Orioles for 2 pitchers, Micah Ashman and Dietrich Enns, and Morton is reunited with AJ Hinch. I think this could be a tick up in value for Charlie Morton, just going from Camden and the AL East to pitching in Comerica and the AL Central.
Yeah, a tiny tick up because the way he's pitched recently has, it's been an okay ERA. It's been a survivable whip.
No, it's a bad whip.
Yeah, even since he returned to the rotation, it's a 142 whip.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's even worse than that. Yeah, I don't see much usability here except as a streamer still.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that's it.
All right.
Better team, sure, but that only goes so far.
Updated Tigers rotation, by the way. They have Tarek Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Charlie Morton, Casey Mize, and Chris Paddock. The Cubs acquired Willie Castro from the Twins for 2 pitching prospects, Ryan Gallagher and Sam Armstrong. Castro, a solid season, hitting .245, 10 homers, 48 runs scored, and 9 steals. It's a huge lineup upgrade. Does he play every day? Does he just take over third base and Matt Shaw goes to the bench? What do you guys think?
I think Chris put it best, so maybe I should just let him say it. How'd you put it, Chris?
I think they're both losers.
That's not what you said in the tracker.
And Matt Shaw. I wrote a lot today.
What you said in the tracker, Chris?
Boy,
the trade deadline tracker.
I'll command F that one.
Is that well? Now I can't remember exactly what it was, so I was kind of hoping you would. No, what you said in the tracker
should be viewed less as a replacement for Shaw than as insurance. He's likely to be a super valuable, super utility player who can step in as the everyday third baseman if needed. Probably hurts Shaw's value, but Castro isn't likely to be a straight up replacement, which hurts both players' fantasy values.
Yeah.
Whoever said that put it really well.
I think you did put it really well. The one little tweak, the one little twist I'll put on it is I think Willie Castro's value drops immediately. But if Matt Shaw fails, then
it could go up.
Kind of like you said, it's insurance. So Willie Castro could be inserted and it goes up, and then Matt Shaw loses all the value.
Mm-hmm. Rangers bullpen acquisitions. They brought in righty Phil Maton from the Cardinals, and they also brought in lefty Danny Coulombe from the Twins. Both of these guys are really good. Any guess as to who gets the next save in Texas?
I guess it's Robert Garcia.
I think so too.
That's my guess. I think Phil Maton is better.
I agree.
But now they have 2 late game lefties versus 1 late game righty. And Robert Garcia hasn't really done anything to lose the job. So yeah, I would guess he remains in the role for now.
And they've got like 4 lefties in their bullpen now. So they really don't have to worry about saving Robert Garcia for the toughest lefties.
It probably does not matter very much at all, but any idea who could get the next save for the Twins if they have one?
My guess would be Cole Sands. Looked better about 2 months ago. His numbers were awesome then, and it's been a rough couple months. But since they traded their best 4 relievers in the last 2 days, I think Cole Sands is kind of the last man standing.
I've heard of oil sands, but not Cole Sands. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigers acquired Kyle Finnegan from the Nationals for Josh Randall and RJ Sales. Finnegan's value completely washed here. My guess is he's a setup man.
There's a chance that he's the closer, but I don't think. I think Will Vest is just better.
I think it would take Will Vest failing.
Yeah, I think he has to lose the job.
Yep, I agree.
All right. Next up, the Dodgers acquired reliever Brock Stewart from the Twins for outfielder James Outman. Stewart, pretty nice get, 2.38 ERA, 109 WHIP, 10.9 K per 9. Outman probably gets regular run in center field. And just 2 years ago, 23 homers, 16 steals. Any deep league interest in James Outman?
Can we get Matt Wallner, Trevor Larnach, and James Outman in the outfield at the same time, all dressed as Spider-Man pointing at each other? Because that's how I feel about it. They're just variations of the same exact kind of guy. Maybe Outman
But
figures
that
it out.
doesn't leave room for Rodin.
He's had like a 37% strikeout rate or something at AAA. I might be exaggerating, but I might not be. He's been really, really rough.
It is 30.3.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, there's not a lot to be excited about with James Outman since 2023, unfortunately.
I'd take a flyer in an AL only.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
But I agree. I'm not exactly enthusiastic about it. By the way, we didn't answer who closes for Washington with Finnegan gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you not want to?
No, go for it.
I think Jose Ferrer, the left-hander, would be the most likely choice, who throws hard, but the numbers aren't great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my guess as well. I mean, there's also Cole Henry, but Jose Ferrer has actually worked in higher leverage situations recently, so it would make
Gotta
sense.
try to roll that R, Frank.
Jose Ferrer.
Oh, you did that
was
much
good.
better than me.
That's really, like, I think you both are better at rolling the R, which is really...
All right, Chris.
Then you?
Really, yeah, I'm
you've got to do
Puerto
it.
Rican. That's really bad for me.
Well,
I'm not even gonna try.
yeah, you've got to do it. Who's going to close for the Nationals, Chris?
We're gonna move on. We got to keep the podcast going.
You should have said Cole Henry. That would be good. The Yankees acquired Jose Caballero from the Rays for outfield prospect Everson Pereira and a player to be named later. My assumption is Caballero is mostly just a depth utility piece for the Yankees. Defense, can play anywhere, pinch runner, things like that. Not sure it actually matters much for fantasy. Everson Pereira, maybe at some point, 19 home runs, 864 OPS at AAA. Great exit velocities there. I don't think he kind of steps in right now, but maybe gets some run at some point with the Rays. That's Everson Pereira. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Rays can fix him, but
Yeah, it's kind of crowded there too.
he seems pretty broken.
The Phillies acquired Harrison Bader from the Twins for Hendry Mendez and Jeremy Valoria. And Roster Resource has Bader as the Phillies starter in center field, with Brandon Marsh sliding over to left, Max Kepler on the bench. Bader having a very solid season. He's been around quite a while. Any deep league interest in Harrison Bader?
I was viewing him more as a platoon bat for them.
That is possible, but Max Kepler has been bad.
Yeah.
Bader has legitimately been a better hitter than Kepler this year.
I just don't know if Bader. His defense, from what I've seen, has taken a step back. But I don't know. Maybe I think it's on. No, I guess he rates out pretty well. He's played a lot more left field than center field this year, I think. But yeah, maybe he's the starter there. I think he only matters in deep 5 outfitter leagues, though.
I was kind of surprised because I texted Chris when this happened, and I'm like, I don't think you need to do Bader in the tracker. And then I looked at his numbers, double-digit home runs and steals already, and I was like, man, like, we've never talked about him. He's barely rostered anywhere. I was kind of surprised how good Bader's been, but I don't think he's going to turn into somebody standard league players care about.
The Blue Jays acquired Louis Varland and Ty France from the Twins for Kendry Rojas and Alan Rodin. And as you guys mentioned, biggest takeaway here is maybe Alan Rodin just gets some playing time with the Twins. He's 25 years old. He's been very bad in 43 games in the major so far, but the minor league numbers look pretty good. So, and I think they could very easily play Matt Wallner or Trevor Larnach at DH, and boom, Alan Rodin in the outfield. So,
I basically don't care what any minor league hitter does until he's had 2 solid months of playing time. This is my rule. So if he remains good in the minors and I like the profile to begin with, I'm going to continue to like him. So I continue to like Alan Rodin, and I hope the Twins give him a lot of uninterrupted play.
All right, much smaller trades. I'm going to just zoom by these. If anything stands out, just stop me and go for it. The Brewers acquired Shelby Miller and Jordan Montgomery from the D-backs. The Royals acquired Mike Yastrzemski from the Giants. The Padres acquired Will Wagner from the Blue Jays and then optioned him to the minors.
Son of Billy.
Yep, that's right. Tigers acquired Paul Sewald from the Guardians. Yankees acquired reliever Jake Bird from the Rockies. Dodgers acquired Alex Call from the Nationals.
This is interesting just because they gave up 2 pretty interesting minor league pitchers for Alex Call.
Sean Lindon, I saw that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Surprising. There was like a decent amount of hype around Alex Call at the trade deadline, which I don't really get, but yeah, I don't know.
The Cubs acquired Taylor Rogers from the Pirates. The Blue Jays acquired, I already read that one. The Reds acquired Miguel Andujar from the Athletics, and the Yankees traded Oswald Peraza to the Angels for Wilberson DePena and cash considerations.
The only thing I didn't mention from this is obviously Shelby Miller is a save source. Done now that he's off the Diamondbacks. So I guess that makes Kevin Ginkel a little more interesting, as much as a guy with a 7.20 ERA can be.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Diamondbacks is all of their relievers have been terrible. The ones that are remaining, at least.
All right, let's put a bow here on the trade deadline. A quick recap of bullpens, things that have changed here. Just give me a name. The next save opportunity will go to which player on this team? The Padres.
Miller.
I'm going to say Suarez gets the next one and Miller gets most of them.
Okay, I will say Suarez as well. The Yankees.
Devin
Williams.
Agreed. For the Rays.
Pete Fairbanks.
Yep.
Rangers.
Robert
Garcia.
Pirates.
Dennis Santana.
Yeah, he might be the second biggest winner from the trade deadline. The fact that Bednar got traded and not him.
Which is kind of surprising that he didn't get traded. The Giants.
Randy
Rodriguez.
The Cardinals.
I think Jojo Romero.
Yeah.
But I don't say that with much gusto.
There was a little bit of hype about Gordon Graceffo. I saw a player blurb on our website. And I also read an article in The Athletic. John Mozeliak said Jojo Romero will see more high leverage situations. Riley O'Brien and Gordon Graceffo were also identified as pitchers who will see more distinctive roles in the bullpen. So it sounds like Romero will get the first shot. So that's my guess.
I think the Marlins have the most gusto now, by the way.
Yep. For the Nationals, Chris, who do you think will have the most saves for the Nationals? Or the next save?
Brother, I don't think it matters.
No. You have to say it.
Cole Henry.
No, you don't think that.
I think the answer is going to be Jose
Ferrer.
There you go. What about the Orioles?
You like Corbin Martin,
I
so
think
I
it's
guess I'll go with that.
Still.
Yeah. I guess Corbin Martin. Someone alerted me that Tyler Wells is working his way back from rehab, and he's a name to watch. So I guess. The Twins, Cole Sands, right?
I think Cole Sands.
I think so, yeah.
And back to the Athletics. Last one here.
Jack Perkins, because it'll be a 3-inning save.
I'm going to say Sean Newcomb.
All right. Any other winners, losers you'd like to quickly mention before we, move on to a 3-game slate?
Well, from the other day, 2 of the biggest winners are Tyler Locklear and Jordan Lawler of the Diamondbacks. So just to
absolutely
combine all the trade deadline stuff. A couple of losers that are losers because they weren't traded are Mitch Keller and Spencer Jones. Obviously, you could put Owen Casey in that same group. Not sure where his path is for the Cubs. Maybe he'll get traded in the offseason. And also, like, small, teeny, tiny losers. Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin, since Marcell Ozuna wasn't traded. He's actually been playing more consistently at DH now.
Showing signs of life, yeah.
Yeah, so I suspect that'll continue. I still think they're probably both worth rostering, even in one catcher leagues, but it's harder to say that now than if, I mean, the Braves were kind of buyers. Isn't that weird? They were ugly buyers, just buying pitchers that cost nothing to fill out their staff. But the only player they traded away was, and I'm blanking on another name, the reliever with the Soriano. Rafael Soriano?
Rafael Montero.
Rafael Montero. Yeah, Rafael Soriano was a guy from like 25 years ago. Sorry. Man,
Hey, he had a great season with the Yankees back.
I'm 41 going on 72. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's the only guy they traded away. So they didn't get a taker for Ozuna or Raisel Iglesias, even though they're expiring contracts. I don't know. Kind of weird.
Yeah, I'll say those Orioles bats that we talked about are winners. A bunch of closers are losers. Either Robert Suarez or Mason Miller is going to be a huge loser. I think Eugenio Suarez is more of a loser than a winner with the park downgrade. I know, Scott, you made a good point about the swing change last year, and maybe that'll help overcome it. But I think Suarez, it's a lot to overcome. And then obviously Ryan Helsley is a huge loser.
Mm-hmm. I was alerted of this very long thread that Mike Petriello put out breaking down all these mechanical changes from Eugenio Suarez, because I tweeted out things about the ballpark changing, and then someone was like, "Oh, this is what real analysis looks like." I was like, "All right, well, you have to,
all right. That is rude.
That's not the nicest thing that's ever happened, but to give Mike Petriello credit, it was a very thorough thread where he broke down a lot of mechanical changes.
I agree with Mike Petriello.
Mike Petriello's great. I'm a big fan of Mike Petriello. He's super smart. That was still a rude thing for that person to say.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the trade deadline. Chris, if you want to hop off, we're going to get through the rest of whatever Thursday and weekly planner stuff. But thanks, bud, for hanging out.
I'll see you guys on Sunday. Goodbye.
All right. Practice your Jose Ferrer.
All right. That was terrible.
All right, Scott, here we are. We're not going to do players of the night. I got some news I want to run through. I got some standouts from Thursday, and then we'll wrap up with some week 20 preview. But here we are. Hour into the show, there was a lot to talk about from the trade deadline. Quickly run through some other news and notes. Jax and Chourio is expected to land on the IL with that hamstring injury. It's a rough go of outfield injuries lately. First, Aaron Judge, then Acuna, now Chourio, all on the IL in the past week. We did get a bunch of Rays injuries on Thursday. Yandy Diaz left after being hit by a pitch on his right forearm. Jonathan Aranda left after injuring his left wrist on a catch where he was reaching for the ball, playing first base. Giancarlo Stanton ran into his glove and unfortunately caused the injury there. And the hope is that Aranda will be able to return in September. So going to miss some time here and going to go on the IL. So you're going to need a replacement for him.
I think they're still awaiting MRI results there. The X-rays were negative, but it could be more significant that, preventing him from coming back in September even.
Yeah. And Chandler Simpson left early with a left index finger sprain and is considered day-to-day. Zach Eflin placed back on the IL with lower back discomfort. The Red Sox are still collecting information about the nature of Marcelo Meyer's wrist injury. He went on the IL last Friday with a wrist sprain. With the acquisitions of Charlie Morton and Chris Paddock, the Tigers are shifting prospect Troy Melton to the bullpen, which kind of stinks because he looked great in his most recent start. So, I wanted to see what he could do in the rotation. But Troy Melton to the bullpen and Josh Young out of the lineup Thursday due to calf soreness. I have some waiver wire hitters here, Scott. Spencer Steer hit an epic game-tying home run against the Braves here. Crazy game. Braves scored 8 runs in the top of the 8th inning to take an 11-3 lead. The Reds responded by scoring 8 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, capped off by Spencer Steer's home run here. If you remember, he had a 3-homer game back on June 27th. In 26 games since, Steer is hitting .216 with an OPS under 700. So as great as this home run was, I don't really think he's worth adding. Do you disagree, Scott?
I do not disagree. I agree. But wow, I am glad I was too busy to watch this game, because that would have been pain. Eight runs. You're thinking, oh man, we got a blowout brewing here, and then they give up 8 runs in the bottom of the inning.
The Braves wound up winning, but still, yeah.
They deserve to lose that game.
That is crazy. Ryan McMahon has been hitting well since joining the Yankees. He went 2 for 3 with a walk and a run. 6 games since coming over. He's 8 for 20. Very small sample size, 2 doubles, 4 RBI. 68% rostered. I think that's okay. It might even be a little bit high for Ryan McMahon. 6 games on the schedule next week, 2 lefties. So we'll find out if he actually plays every day for the Yankees. I kind of feel like this is why they got Ahmed Rosario and Jose Caballero. So we'll see if McMahon plays every day. Giancarlo Stanton continues to mash, 1 for 4 with his 8th home run. All 8 of his homers have come in July. Now it's August, but he had a great month. 284, 8 homers, 981 OPS. He has started 10 of the past 12 games. But with Judge expected back next week, I just don't really see how Stanton's going to play, right? If Judge is the DH, I just don't really see it. Which is unfortunate. Stanton's hitting well, so.
They have talked about using him in the outfield some. I doubt it will be on an everyday basis. So it's...
I think it will be very sparingly.
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2 times a week, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but not every day, which pretty much takes him out of the conversation for most fantasy leagues, at least in the short term. Judge isn't expected to DH forever.
Sean Murphy, you mentioned, kind of wish that Marcell Ozuna got shipped out so that we could get more playing time out of him and Drake Baldwin, but he had 2 more hits, 3 more walks here, last 25 games for Murphy, hitting .263, 7 home runs, 20 RBI, and OPS over 900 during that time. So, 2 catcher leagues. I don't think he's out there anymore, but deeper 1 catcher league, Sean Murphy, 44% rostered. And 1 deep league name here, Cole Young, who is a prospect of note, called up by the Mariners last month. He went 2 for 4 with a triple, a homer, 2 runs, 2 RBI. The home run had a 113 exit velocity. And at the time, it said it went 470 feet, and then they retracted it. They didn't know if it actually went that far. Point being, he hit a 113-mile-per-hour home run here. And Cole Young, in his last 15 games, is hitting .283 with 3 homers and a .932 OPS. I know usually, Scott, you want to see 2 months, but I don't know. Maybe Cole Young is starting to figure it out sooner.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't happen before 2 months. I'm just saying you got to give it at least 2 months. So I'm curious what his average exit velocity looks like during this 15-game span, 86.9 prior to today. So that's not including the 113-mile-per-hour homer, which I would presume is his hardest hit ball, period. Looks like it. Hang on. I can look this up pretty quickly. Nope, that is pitch. EV. Okay, 113. He had another ball that he hit 113 miles per hour on July 12th. But apart from
that's awesome though for like a 5'11" middle infielder. That is like awesome raw power.
It is surprisingly hard given how low his average exit velocities have been. I don't see him as a big power source in the long run, regardless. So he's going to need to run good contact rates and better walk rates than he's had so far, I think, to be a true fantasy asset. But he's showing improvement, and that's what you want to see from a young player.
Yeah. Cole Young, again, the name there. He's on my radar in, middle as a middle infielder in a deeper league, 15-team roto, things like that. Let's see what Cole Young could do. And welcome to Cincinnati, Ke'Bryan Hayes. Just like you drew it up, he made an error in his debut and also hit a home run. Just the player they were expecting there from Ke'Bryan Hayes. We need to see a lot more, but a nice start, at least offensively, for Ke'Bryan Hayes. Don't think this one matters, but I'll ask anyway, Scott. Carlos Carrasco for your Atlanta Braves turned in a quality start in his debut. Doesn't matter.
Probably not.
All right. Some hitting leftovers. Jazz Chisholm is back to running here, back-to-back games with 2 steals in each. He did not have a steal since June 10th before that. So, okay. July 30th, June 10th. That's how long it took Jazz Chisholm to steal a base. A little weird. Maybe, Yankees don't want him to risk injury or whatever it might be. Ozzy Albies hitting better so far in the second half. He had 4 hits here on Thursday, 13 games post All-Star break, hitting .289, 2 homers, 13 RBI, and 2 steals. Big game for Elly De La Cruz, who went 3 for 6 with his 19th home run. His first homer since June 23rd. Also a little weird. And Cal Raleigh, 1 for 4 with his 42nd home run, the most ever by a switch hitting catcher. And it's only July 31st. So.
I'm going to guess that was Todd Hundley's record that he broke. How about that? I came up with a name.
Honestly, I can't tell you whose record he broke, Scott. So I'm just going to have to
I think it's Todd Hundley. All right. Todd Hundley, switch hitting. Do you remember Todd Hundley?
Yeah.
You were in diapers. You don't know Todd Hundley. He hit 41 home runs in 1996, a switch hitting catcher.
I was 5 years old.
You were in diapers.
Diapers at 5 years old? I honestly I did not know, and he played for the Mets too. I mean,
you've never heard of Todd Hundley, really? I was joking.
I know. I love this guy. He's a great New York.
41 homers in 1996. Totally, I'm still sharp as a tack over here.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a pretty impressive season there. And a pretty impressive call by you, Scott. Pitching leftovers, George Kirby turned in a quality start against Texas, 6 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts, and looking a lot more like himself. Last 7 starts, 2.61 ERA, a .92 whip for George Kirby. And then we had 2 kind of rough outings here. Ryan Pepio got destroyed at the Yankees, 7 runs allowed over 4 innings. Last 7 starts for him, it's a .580 ERA and a .140 whip. And Andrew Abbott struggled with control. He walked 5 through just 59% of his pitches for strikes. Everything else lately has looked pretty good. This kind of feels like a one-off here. But any thoughts on Abbott, Pepio, or George Kirby?
Oh, not any thoughts, game-changing thoughts. Andrew Abbott, so much of his game is control. It's been so good. 5 walks is strange, but I don't think it's good. Unless it becomes a trend, I don't think we have to worry about Abbott being in decline here. It just seems like one of those odd starts. And Pepio, I don't see a lot of reason to be worried here either. Yeah, I think it was just kind of a weird night for both of them.
Mm-hmm. For Ryan Pepio, he's 68% started on CBS at the Angels next week. Are you okay getting Pepio either back in the lineup or just sticking with him at the Angels?
I am okay using him. Strikeout prone lineup.
Yeah.
He won't be at Swamp Brenner Field. Not that, that hasn't been as big of an issue as I worried it would be for him coming into this year, because he's become less of a fly ball pitcher this year.
I actually think I saw his splits earlier. I think he's been much better at home than he has been on the road, which is really weird. But
oh, you know what? The fly ball rate's trending up again.
Yeah, he has been struggling with home runs a little bit lately. Ryan Pepio.
So he won't be at Swamp Burner Field next time.
Actually, yeah, his home road splits are actually incredibly even this season. All right, forget everything I just said.
Maybe it's changed recently.
But the point is, I think you can use him next week at the Angels. Let's get into the Week 20 preview. And first up, we have the schedule for next week. 26 teams with 6 games. We have 2 teams with 7 games, the Reds and Phillies. And for the first time this season, I believe, we have 2 teams with 8 games, the Braves and the Marlins. What's up?
I think you're right.
Yep.
First time.
And then what about the Rockies? They have 6 games next week. 3 are at home in Coors Field against the Blue Jays, and 3 are at the Diamondbacks. Starter sit these 2 start pitchers next week. We have Jesus Luzardo against the Orioles and Rangers, coming off a great start, but we know he's been up and down, and his velocity was down quite a bit in his last start. What do you think about Luzardo?
I think those matchups are still good enough that I consider a must start. as a 2-start guy.
All right. Sonny Gray at the Dodgers and home against the Cubs. He has been struggling.
And those are 2 tough matchups, obviously. A little bit of a rebound last time. I could see doing it in points leagues, but just in points leagues.
Zach Littell in what should be his first week with the Reds at the Cubs and at the Pirates.
I would say points leagues only for him because that Cubs matchup is dangerous.
All right, next up we have Mike Soroka in his Cubs debut against the Reds and at the Cardinals.
I am going to say no. He just misses the points league only window for me, but just misses. If you wanted to do it that badly because of the RP eligibility, I wouldn't blame you. And I mean, the other thing too is it's not like the Cubs have really announced when he's making their debut. It would make sense for it to be Monday and for Soroka to line up for 2 starts. But there are a few of those situations with the 2-start pitchers this week where kind of having to guess.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll want to tune back in to the written article on Sunday for all the latest updates.
Next up, Adrian Houser in what would likely be his Rays debut at the Angels and at the Mariners.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that too.
Yusei Kikuchi home against Tampa Bay and at Detroit.
I have an easier time passing on that.
And Casey Mize, who's been struggling lately, home against the Twins. The Twins, I guess we'll talk about that. I mean, they turn into one of the best matchups in baseball right now. And
That's
also they get the Angels. So Casey Mize against the Twins and Angels.
Let me make sure I didn't miss any obvious sleeper pitchers against the Twins. Chris Paddock, old team.
Ooh, revenge game.
I'm still going to say no to that. But you're asking me about somebody different. You're asking me about Casey Mize. Yeah, he's been terrible lately. That's a pass for me.
All right, Scott, who are the 2-star pitchers that you like as potential streamers for next week?
Jeffrey Springs, Nationals and Orioles. Like the matchups, and he's been pretty reliable for the last 3 months. Highly undervalued, I think, at 66%. I get it, because he doesn't look like he should be as good as he is, but it's been nearly half a season of him being very reliable. Jeffrey Springs. Slade Ciccone, tough first matchup at the Mets, but then the second is at the White Sox, which I think is a good matchup. I think. Still, Slade Ciccone's been pitching well. Zebby Matthews, little iffy on whether he's actually a 2-star pitcher. The Twins obviously shook up their rotation a bit at the deadline. But on regular rest, he would line up to go Monday, lining him up for 2 starts. Tigers and Royals, so 1 bad matchup, 1 good matchup. Eric Lauer. Scary matchups for Lauer. I know he's been great lately, but at Colorado, and this even scarier matchup is at the Dodgers. So that's a points league only recommendation for Lauer, especially since he's a fly ball pitcher. Justin Verlander coming off one of his better starts this year. He's at the Pirates and against the Nationals, so 2 really good matchups there. Joey Wentz, I'm doing it. Talked up Joey Wentz after his latest start. Heavy emphasis on the cutter lately. Since joining the Braves, seems to have unlocked new potential here. Joey Wentz is facing the Brewers and the Marlins. And so ends the 2-start streamers for this week.
All right. What about the 1-star streamers? Who you got?
1-start guys, Ryan Nelson against the Padres. Just throw your fastball 60% of the time. It'll be fine. Brian Bayo.
You vaunted Padres lineup, Scott. I don't know.
Brian Bayo gets the Royals. He's been great with that cutter. And then much lower on the list here, we have Eduardo Rodriguez, who has been terrible lately, but he gets the Rockies away from Coors Field. So you like that matchup always. And then Aaron Savale, second straight week, that he makes the sleeper pitchers list. He gets the Guardians, which is also a revenge game.
Yes, you know I can't resist a revenge game, Scott. Best hitter matchups for next week. We have the Marlins, Giants, Nationals, Diamondbacks, and Athletics. Worst hitter matchups, Rangers, White Sox, Pirates, Mets, and Padres. who are your sleeper hitters for week 20?
So they don't correspond to the best matchups very much, I'll point out. Part of that is because, and I mentioned this on yesterday's show, part of that's because there are a lot more teams with good matchups than bad right now. It was hard to find 5 teams with bad matchups, just given the state of rotations around the league right now. So every matchup is good almost. So my favorite sleeper pitchers or hitters for this week, you got Kerry Carpenter, who's back from the IL, hitting well. Only one lefty on the schedule for the Tigers, so he should play plenty. Austin Hayes. It's been a long week. Sorry. Austin Hayes, who homered on Thursday and has just, we got to get this roster rate up for Austin Hayes. It's still 57%. That's ridiculous. I also like his teammate, Noel V. Marte, who's now the right fielder. He was batting second on Thursday. He had 3 hits, and I think he's good. Xavier Edwards, let's take advantage of that 8-game week for the Marlins. He's been doing great. Needs to run more, but he's been hitting his way on base plenty. Otto Lopez kind of cooled off, but he's the other Marlins hitter I would like to use in this 8-game week. Anthony Volpe's been hot, and the Yankees matchups look pretty good. Both Braves catchers I'm putting on here, Drake Baldwin, Sean Murphy, because it's an 8-game week for the Braves. Also, I think there's a good chance both start 5 games in the 8-game week. Maybe one of them starts 6, because I don't think Marcell Ozuna's playing more, but I don't think he's going to play every single day. I think it's going to be kind of 3 players rotating between 2 lineup spots. And so, the 8-game week makes it so the off days don't hurt as much for Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy. Andrew Vaughn, of course, has been one of the trendiest players on the waiver wire of late. And the Brewers have pretty good matchups. He's been playing more regularly too, which we like to see. And then the deep league special here, Dominique Canzone, only 6% rostered for all the Mariners lineup upgrades. They haven't bumped him from the lineup. His data looks great, and he's facing only right-handed pitchers. 6 games against righties for the Mariners this week. So Dominic Canzone's going to play a lot.
Something I heard while watching the Mariners game today is whenever Dominic Canzone gets a hit, they play Dominic the Donkey in the stadium there. So the Italian Christmas donkey, what everyone's favorite Christmas song.
That must be more of a Northeast thing. I don't know.
You don't know Dominic the Donkey?
I don't know Dominic the Donkey.
Oh man.
Do you know Grandma got ran over by a reindeer?
I do, but the older I get, the weirder that song gets for me. I don't know.
Which one?
I guess they're both kind of weird. But Grandma got run over by a reindeer. It's kind of a weird song. I guess I'm overanalyzing it, but yeah.
I mean, by design, yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you in a little Dominic the Donkey after the podcast here. We'll listen to it together. We'll jam out. Call to the bullpen for the Yankees. Devin Williams and Luke Weaver both unavailable. Jonathan Loaizaga got the 9th with a 3-run lead. He allowed a hit, but picked up his first save. And for the Braves, I guess one of the big winners at the deadline, Raisel Iglesias, he still has a job. He got the 10th inning with a 1-run lead. Manfred Mann on second base. He struck out 1 for his 13th save of the season. To stream or not to stream for the weekend, on Friday, we have Brady Singer up against the Braves, Trevor Rogers at the Cubs, Cade Horton against the Orioles, Jose Quintana at the Nationals, Michael Wacha at Toronto, Jansen Junk against the Yankees, Kershaw at Tampa Bay, Tyler Anderson against the White Sox, Jack Leiter at the Mariners.
I don't think we liked this much. Brady Singer against the Braves was the best choice. If I have to pick a second, I'll say Michael Wacha at Toronto, but I don't feel great about it.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about Trevor Rogers. I would choose him second, but I don't love. I like what he's doing. I don't love the matchup.
Or Cade Horton. Maybe Cade Horton against the Orioles.
Yeah, the Orioles are swinging a hot bat right now. They can't pitch, but their lineup is bat. Yes, they're all using the same bat.
Okay.
And it's a torpedo bat. No, I don't know that, but the bats are alive. So,
man, now that takes me back. Torpedo bat. Haven't heard those two words uttered together in quite some time.
Remember when the Yankees were the biggest cheaters in all of baseball? Oh my gosh, what a weekend that was. On Saturday, we have Ben Brown against the Orioles. Wow. You thought Friday was bad, Scott. This is there's not much here. Sagano is at the Cubs. Jake Irvin gets the Brewers. Cam Schlittler at the Marlins. Savali at the Angels, maybe. Kyle Hendricks against the White Sox. Michael McGreevy at the Padres.
Yeah, I think Aaron Savali at the Angels is the choice here. Not that I love it, but it's the only one I could see myself doing.
If I had to choose a second, he hasn't looked good since getting called up, but I guess I would go with Cam Schlittler at the Marlins. And then on Sunday, Joe Boyle, bad start last time out. Now he gets the Dodgers, but they are struggling. I don't think so. Brad Lord against
probably the last start for Cam Schlittler, right? With let's see, right?
Luis Gil's returning on Sunday.
Yeah, Luis Gil. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Luis Gil's coming back.
So it's either Stroman or Schlittler has to get the boot. They both haven't pitched that great, but it would probably be Schlittler, I imagine. On Sunday, we have Joe Boyle against the Dodgers, Brad Lord against the Brewers, Montas gets the Giants, Simeon Woods-Richardson at the Guardians, Andre Palante at the Padres, Patrick Corbin at the Mariners. Yeah, that's it.
I think Palante. The Padres lineup is better now. They are a bottom 5 offense, but maybe they're a bottom 10 offense now. I don't know.
I agree with Palante, and like I've said for many of these, I don't really like Frankie Montas, but if I had to choose a second one, I probably would say him against the Giants. We are going to wrap there for Scott and Chris. I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.